session, I would go back and basically look at your questions and respond to them. So the first thing we want to do is just define a functional CV or resume. I tried to use ChatGPT for this, and it gave me this very scholarly definition, which didn't make much sense to me. So I decided that, you know what, let me just do something, come up with something that makes sense and what I think the context of our entire conversation will be based on. So what is a functional CV or resume? Basically, it is one that highlights relevant skills and experiences for your role and provides enough context about them to interest a recruiter. So it's not about it being pretty. It's not about the design. It's not about how much words you have in there. It's about being relevant. It's about highlighting your skills and basically whetting the appetite of whoever is looking at it to say, I want to speak to this person. I want to shortlist this person. I want to have a further conversation, or this person seems like they might be a right fit for the role we're hiring. So that's what you want to do with your CV. You want to get people interested. You want to get them to be interested in knowing you, interested in having a conversation. Okay, I don't know what happened. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay. So you want to get them interested in having a conversation with you. And when you apply to a role, a ton of people are applying to. I mean, with the layoffs and the job market right now, it's hard. So many people are applying for that role. So many people are qualified. So many people can do the job. So it's not about you being the golden stone in the midst of the diamond or in the midst of ugly pearls or something. A lot of people have the same skills and experiences that you do. They can do the job as well and even better. So what you want to do in your CV is to get your foot in the door, get the recruiter to say, this is potentially somebody we want to hire. And it's about how you highlight your skills, not necessarily about what you do or how beautiful or how colorful or how well designed it is. The recruiters are looking at that. They just want to see that this person knows what we want and this person can fit into this potentially. So let's move on to tips for creating your CV or resume. The first tip I'll talk about is keeping it short and simple. So except you're applying for an academic role in the academia or a PhD or a master's degree or a graduate assistant position, your CV should be, at most 3 pages. I don't even know what you're writing that's going to be 3 pages, but at most 3 pages. You want to keep it ideally between 1 to 2 pages, regardless of how experienced you are, right? Because I think a recruiter told me that it takes about 6 seconds for them to scan your CV. They have a ton of resumes to go through. So they really don't have time to dig into your beautiful narrative experiences and a 20-page CV, and nobody's going to do that. They have so many things. And it's not just your CV they're screening, right? They're screening your, sometimes they'll ask you to fill some answers in a job application portal. Sometimes they ask you to send a cover letter. Sometimes they ask you to send your portfolio, all of that stuff. So they have so much to look at. They cannot spend all day reading all the beautiful stuff. So you need to optimize it to be short and simple, get to the point as soon as possible. And what that does for you, limiting your CV to 1 to 2 pages, is it forces you to be relevant. You start to think of what is the most important thing I'm going to put in here. So you don't have all the space. So you are thinking of how well to optimize the little opportunity or the 2 pages or the 3 pages at max that you have to sell yourself. So it's not about having so many words in there. It's about being strategic with the information you're bringing, which brings us to the next point about keeping it relevant. You want to make sure that your CV is relevant to whatever position you're applying to, right? And this is not about having, most people just have one CV and they just apply all over the place, like 100 applications a day. It's not necessarily about the quantity or the number of CVs you're sending out. You want to make sure you're tailoring each CV to the role you're applying to. And now I expect that you're not going from one end to the other, right? You're not, let's say, as a quality assurance engineer, you're not going like, oh, I'm applying for QA jobs and then I'm applying for design jobs. Like that's pretty far, right? You're playing within the same space or within the same niche, but you understand that each job has a specific thing that they're looking out for, specific skills, or each company has before they put out a job ad, they have a need, they know why they want to hire somebody, right? And it's different for each company. So you want to make sure your CV is speaking to that exact thing they want to hire for. You may have a range of skills, but you want to make sure that you are highlighting what is most important in that particular situation. You understand? So it's not just, oh, I have a QA, a CV as a software testing engineer, and I'm just going to apply to everybody who is looking for software testers all across the world. Like, that is a generic way of applying. You want to make sure that you're doing this little tweaks. It's not going to be so much. You're not going to have to design your CV from the beginning all over again. Like, oh, I'm applying for this job that I have to spend 4 hours doing a new CV. No, it's just about having a generic resume with all of those details, and then tailoring it or making it specialized to each role based on the specific 1 or 2 or 3 skills that they want to see, or the experience they expect to see the ideal applicants to put out. So the next thing you want to do is use numbers, right? So you want to give people as much context as possible, especially if you're an intern, you're just starting your career, or you haven't worked for any popular company, right? So people don't know your company. They don't know what you've been up to in life. They've never heard of your company before. So the name of the company isn't going to be as much of a factor on the CV to make somebody stop and say, oh, this person worked with Microsoft, or they've interned with Microsoft, or they've interned with Google, or they've interned with some other large company that we know the stuff. So you want to make sure that you're highlighting numbers. You're giving them as much context as possible to the position they're hiring for, to your achievements or to your experiences. So you're not just telling them, I did X, you're telling them, I did X and it resulted in Y. I was part of this project, and when I was done with the project, or my contributions to this project, this was the result it created from the company. That result captures their attention. They're like, okay, how can if this person was able to achieve this result? I want to hear them talk about it. What was the process? And now you've shifted their attention from the fact that you did this for a very tiny company, or you did this on an internship or something else. They are looking at that result. So especially if you don't have big name companies, if you don't have any experience, if you're just starting out, you want to provide as much numbers and as much context to what you are selling, or the CV or your experiences. You want to provide as much context and numbers, as many percentages as possible. This doesn't mean you should lie. And going further, I'll tell you a simple way to just track these numbers so that you're not trying to imagine what it doesn't exist. Like, you actually have the numbers and you can justify them if you get an interview and you have to talk. The next one is use simple formatting. So like I said, it's not about having the most beautiful CV in the world. It's not about having colors and your pictures and like, nobody cares. To just be honest, like, except you're applying for you're a designer, or you are showing your website portfolio or something, like your CV, people just want to see if this person is a potential match for what they are hiring for, right? So they're not even looking for 100% match. They're looking for 50, 60%. Like, oh, does this person have experiences that are interesting enough for us to say, let's have an interview? Because there's still an interview process, right? They'll probably tell you to do a project. You're going to have like a 5-stage or 4-stage interview. So nobody's going to hire you just based on your CV. They just want to see that you are a possible match. Like, there's a 50, 60%, this person's experience is interesting, we want to talk to them. So make it as simple as possible. Don't stress yourself. Don't want to make the most beautiful CV. Make it functional. Use simple format, simple font, simple bold, just as simple as possible. Just make sure that it's presentable, it's easy to read. They are not confused, like, okay, where does this go? And I don't understand how this information comes in here, or I don't understand how this flows into another thing. Make it as easy as possible. Write it like the person who reading it is going to be 5 years old. And then include keywords and action verbs. So you want to make sure that you are basically showing how your role or whatever position you held in the company, like, you want to give life to your experiences, and action verbs can help you do that. So you're not just describing your responsibilities. You're telling them, led a team that did this, participated in this, held this workshop. So you're using action verbs that just basically put life into those experiences versus just describing. So you're showing, you're not telling. And keywords, everybody knows there are keywords in your industry. In content marketing, for instance, where I work, content marketing is the keyword, SEO, blog posts, long form content, all of that stuff. So you want to think about the keywords in your industry, like when they put out an application, what does a recruiter expect the basic software tester to know? And you want to use those keywords. And a simple thing a way to discover this is to look at the job description. You would see what the recruiters are emphasizing. So you want to read the job description and just look at it like, what do they seem to be paying a lot of attention to? If someone says, we need someone who has this particular experience, so we're very particular about fintech experience or ed tech experience, you want to make sure that you are speaking to that experience. You're speaking to what is most important in the job description. So moving on to the next thing. So I have a sample resume link. Can everyone see my screen? Can you see a CV thing?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. Thank you. Because I can't see the chat. So you have to speak for me to know. So yeah, this is a CV I used to apply in 2021. Now I particularly picked this CV because I wanted to show you just how basic it can be. And I wanted to make sure that I'm reflecting when I didn't have any reasonable or any experience that could have been like make people actually stop and stare at my CV. This was my CV in 2021. This CV landed me 3 remote interviews and eventually helped me get my first remote job. So it's a very ugly and basic CV. And really, because I didn't want to use something that you don't have to have so much experience. It's really about how you present it. So the first thing you see here is my name. And then my LinkedIn, my email, my portfolio. I have a portfolio because I'm a writer. I don't know if there's something like that for testers. If there is a portfolio you guys put together, it's always good to have that. I know developers have like portfolios and designers have their portfolios. As a writer, I have my portfolio. And this was a very, very basic portfolio. It was just a link of ghost written articles. So I didn't even have bylines then. It was very basic. I have my LinkedIn because that's like my professional site where I expect people to go if they're looking for me. I don't have my phone number here because I was applying to remote jobs and email was really the way to go. No one was going to be calling me from the US or from some European country to ask questions. So I don't have my phone number there. But if I was applying to a Nigerian job, I'll definitely have my phone number because we can local calls and all of that. And then next thing I had is skills. I wanted to highlight all of the skills that people in my profession, the basic things they expect us to know. So keywords again, because something else I want to mention here is sometimes the person who gets the CV isn't the hiring manager, it's a recruiter. And the hiring manager just gives them a list of, oh, the kind of person we're looking for. We want somebody who has 2 years experience. We want somebody who has the basics of A and B. We want somebody who has this particular skill or who has that. So just give them a list of things. And then they use that as a checklist to look at your CV, right? So they don't really know. They're not the hiring manager. They don't have context to your job or what you're supposed to do. They're just working off a checklist. Like, does this person check this box? They said the person should have A experience. Oh, I see A here. Okay, great. Let's put this person to talk about. So that's why I had these skills here, which was basically lots of keywords to tell them that I try to highlight as many things that are relevant or as many skills or keywords that are relevant in my industry. So I have your on-page SEO, content management, content strategy, all of that stuff. So as a tester, you want to just fill here with some skills that you know or keywords that you know are relevant to your industry. Maybe a way for testing or a formula or a setup or a particular tool or a particular strategy, whatever it is you want to highlight here so that whoever is looking at a CV, they see that information as soon as possible. And then the next thing I did was tools. Like, what are the tools we use in my industry to show them that I have knowledge of these tools. I've used them before. I know how they work. And even if you haven't used them before, you know about the tool, you can read up on it and you can include it here. Like, I know what this tool does. I haven't had the chance to use it because maybe the subscription is too expensive. I can't pay $99 a month to use this tool, but I've read about it. I know how it works. And if I have the chance, I'll be able to figure it out. Like, I will be able to make it work one way or the other. So you also want to put any tool. So as a software tester, you want to highlight what tools do you use in your industry. You want to put that up as much as possible so people can see this person actually has the fundamental knowledge of what we use in this industry. And then moving on, I have my experience. So at this point in time, I was just freelancing. I tried to put the company, and because these companies were not popular, I tried to put a bit of context about what they do. So you can see like a description of this is a link building agency. So that's also something you can do. If you work somewhere, an ed tech company or a fintech company, and it's not popular, it's not, your recruiter really doesn't have the time to say, oh, this person mentioned InterSwitch, for instance, this person mentioned a particular company, let me go check what they do. So you want to make sure that you're putting a brief description. You can even include a link to the URL to the website if they want to check it out, but you want them to have an idea of, especially if you are applying to that same industry, you want them to know that, oh, I am coming from a familiar background, right? You may not have heard of us, but this is a company and it's kind of overlaps with what you're looking for, the industry you're playing in. And then I have achievements here, basically using my action verbs, interpreting, updated, and I'm trying to put in numbers, like I ranked as a featured snippet on Google within 5 days. I mean, using industry terms that they will be familiar with and putting results that can be interesting. Like, oh, you were able to do this in 5 days. What did you do? Like, how did that play out for you? So you want to make sure that you're using those numbers and you're putting interesting experience that can spark a conversation. And then I have here my experience when I worked with Decagon. I'm trying to put as much numbers as possible, trying to speak specifically to the role because, for instance, they wanted somebody who can work with a team. So here I'm highlighting that I worked with a team of 3 people. Like I understand how to collaborate with others, right? So that's why I'm highlighting that experience. And then I have my experience from Fun Plus and some other stuff here. And then I had my education here. Now this is actually, it's not relevant. This is just a vanity thing. Like, oh, I went to school, but I mean, you don't have to do it. I don't think I have this in my CV that I'm working on right now. So you can take that out. But this was 2021. I was just like fresh out of school. So a lot of things were not, but all over the place. And then I have awards. Honestly, nobody cares about this stuff, right? But I had this here because, again, I think I was just looking out to just let it not be that the CV is too scanty. But I can guarantee that the recruiter didn't even scroll down here. And then I have my certification. I mean, something I would do right now is to move this certification up because it's more relevant than all of these Lagos State University things that are here. So I'll move that certification up and just leave out the education or awards because it made my CV 3 pages. And it's not supposed to be 3 pages. Like this could have been a page or 2. And then I have past projects, just highlighting some website that I worked on to show that, oh, I have, in case you needed somebody with extra experience, because this was for a long form content writing job. I'll be writing blog posts and this was website. So it wasn't really relevant, but I wanted them to know that I had diverse skill sets in case it was something they were looking for. Like this person isn't just playing within a box. They actually have experiences that are diverse, and maybe if we want to explore this in the future, they can be relevant. So this was my very simple, ugly CV, and it landed me 3 interviews, like I mentioned. So it doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be, well, it doesn't have to be fancy or well designed. You just want to make sure that you are giving as many signals as possible to show that this person actually, they're worth having a conversation with. They have fundamental experience. And then if they see something on your CV, they can ask you, oh, you said you did this on your CV. Tell us about it. Like, I found that experience interesting. So let us know about it. Like, talk more about this 5 days you used to achieve this, or talk more about how this collaboration process worked, right? Which is why you shouldn't lie on your CV. Don't put anything there that you cannot defend. Don't put numbers you cannot defend. Don't put anything that you cannot defend in your CV, because the hiring manager, when they eventually look at it or during the interview, they're going to just pull out something. And the last thing you want to say is, oh, I don't know that. Did I really write that? So you want to make sure that you're writing things that you can actually speak to if you have the interview and you are asked to speak to it. Okay, so I'm back to the slide. Can everybody see the slide now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, earlier I said I was going to share some best practices to make your resume building journey easier, because especially if you're starting your career, it can be very difficult to put a CV together. You feel like you don't have enough things to put there. So you end up putting a ton of irrelevant things, right? So I'm going to share things that I used when I was just starting, trying to find my first job, and hopefully it works for you too. The first thing you want to do is always ask why, right? So when you start your first job, or you're interning, or you're freelancing, or you're just trying to get that experience, you're fresh out of school, you're transitioning into a new career, whatever it is, many times when you're just starting off, people are going to be dumping things on your desk. You're going to be executing a lot of stuff. They're going to call you up and say, oh, run this test. Oh, do this. Oh, do that. And you're going to be doing a lot of stuff. But most times you will not have the context to what you are doing. She's just going to tell you to do things, and you're just going to be doing things. Those things might be part of a bigger project, but you wouldn't know, because your manager or your team leader or your senior colleague is going to say, run this, do that, and you're just going to be doing stuff. And then at the end of the day, when you're trying to put your CV together, you just have a bunch of stuff you did that do not have any context. And it makes it very difficult, because you end up having a very descriptive CV. I ran this script, I ran that script, I did this, I did that, but it doesn't show impact. So the first thing you want to do is always ask why. Try to find the context behind what you're being told to do as much as possible. Ask your teammate, ask your colleague, oh, why are we doing this? Oh, why are we running this? And it's not in a way of being difficult or just being pesty or whatever. It's about just understanding the context. So you want to present it from a very polite and helpful angle. Like, oh, if I understand how this works, it'll help me to better execute this thing, right? So tell me why. Why are we doing this? Like, I'm just interested. Like, when I turn this in, what is it going to be used for? So you want to ask why. Always get the context behind your work, because it just makes it easier for you to represent stuff on your CV. You can go from, oh, I was told to run this script too. I was told to run this script because for this app we're launching, which eventually led to this. You can provide more context. So always ask why. Don't just do stuff. Don't just take orders from your boss. I mean, take orders. You don't really have a choice. You have to take orders, but try to find the context behind what they're asking you to do. And the truth of the matter is, when you start to do this stuff, when you start to ask why, people start to give you context, right? Because your bosses are busy, they have their own jobs to do. So most times they may not really readily offer that information, not because they don't want to, but they just want things to move fast. But when you start to ask why, they start to make out time to actually explain how things work. You might even get yourself being drawn into meetings because you're always asking questions like, well, why are we doing this? Oh, what's the big picture? Can I offer to do something more? Okay, I get that we want to do this. How about we try this, right? So when you ask why, they start to give you context just because they know you need that information. So it becomes easier down the road. You're not going to have to ask why all the time, because as you start to ask why from the beginning, most people start to give you context, start to give you information. And when it's time for you to put your CV together, you have enough context to be able to present that information in an interesting way. The second thing you want to do is document your wins. Make sure you're keeping track of what you're doing in a job. Now, you may think, oh, I can remember it. But by the time you stay in a job or in an internship for a year, 6 months, you forget a lot of things you did first. In fact, you forget things that were a big deal, that you just forget them because you have so many things you're doing. And then when it's time to put your CV together, it seems like you don't have information because it looks like you haven't done anything. But you've done a lot. You just didn't document it and your brain has forgotten. So make sure you're documenting your wins. You can make this a weekly report thing you do. Every week, you just, oh, this is what I worked on. This is what stood out for me. This is what I'm going to do next week. It helps you to document. It helps you to keep track of what you're doing so that when it's time to put your CV together, you just have to pull out all of that information, all your reports or something like, oh, this is what I did. This is interesting, or this is relevant to the job I'm applying to. So you're going to put that in your CV. It's a lot easier than trying to remember what you have done. You definitely forget things that were a big deal because what keeps going on, it's moving forward, right? People are doing new stuff. So you're going to do more stuff and you just forget about those really interesting results you were able to achieve because you're not tracking them. So always document your wins. Even if your boss isn't requesting a weekly report, try to do that for yourself. Like every week, every Friday, take out time to highlight the great things that happened, the projects you worked on, the progress you made on them, and what you want to work on next week or what you learned from them, and just keep this information, stack it over a period of time. And when it's time to work on your CV, you can pull all that data out and it becomes a lot easier to put that information together. Now, the third thing is have a career plan. So don't just go with the flow. Have a plan for what you want for your career. And it doesn't have to be a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan or a 15, no. You just need to be clear about what is the next step I'm going to take. Oh, I'm an intern now. What is the next step I want to do? Do I want to do another internship? Do I want to take on like a full management, whatever it is? So always be clear on the next step and have a career plan, because once you're clear on what you want to do next, you can start to tailor your experiences within your job to actually match what you're going to do next. So you're an intern now and we want to become like a QA, a full-time QA engineer, where you're not interning anymore, you're working on projects and stuff. You know that after this internship, this is what I want to do next. So as an intern, you start to gather experiences towards that direction, right? You start to look for interesting projects. You start to have conversations with people who are already in that position, because you know what you want to do next. You can start having conversations. Oh, what does your job look like? How do you work? Like, what are the interesting experiences? What do I need if I want to get promoted in the next 6 months into your role? What do I need to do, right? So once you're clear on the next step for your career, you can make sure that you're gathering experiences that actually lead you there. But if you're not, you're just going to be another taker. You're going to do everything they tell you to do. And at the end of the day, when it's time to leave, you're like, oh, I have all these experiences, but nothing is actually relevant to this thing that I want to do. And it just seems like you wasted your time. So make sure you know what the next step is for your career. It can change, but have an idea of, okay, by and large, or I mean, nothing, if Jesus tarries, this is what I'm going to do next, right? Just have an idea of what you want to do next and try to make sure that you're gathering experiences to make that happen for you. And the fourth one is be deliberate about your job search. So don't approach job search like, don't just throw spaghetti against the wall and hope that it sticks. Make sure you are deliberate about what you want to do next and deliberate about the positions you're going for. So I know a lot of people say job searching is a numbers game, which I agree. Yeah, definitely, it's a numbers game. But you want to be strategic about it, or you burn out. If you're doing 50 applications a day, you are going to burn out, right? So you want to make sure that you are deliberate about it. Be clear on what you want to do next. Apply for jobs that are relevant to your experience. So if you have 1 year experience, don't go and apply for senior or lead or head, because it's stressful. It's stressful to get all those rejections. If you manage to get the job, it's going to be stressful to upskill. It's going to be a nightmare. So be clear on what is the rational next step for my career. How can I gather experiences to get me there and apply to jobs that fit into that framework? This is the next step for my career. I'm applying to jobs that fit into this frame. You're increasing your chances of success because you've gathered the relevant skills, and it becomes a lot easier to land the role versus when you're just aiming. You eventually get to that high point you want to, but it's a process. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So to wrap up, so here are some resume resources you can check out. Teal is a personal career development platform. It has an AI resume builder. It has so many things, so many resources that you can check out to tailor your CV and cover letter and all of that stuff that you need. LinkedIn is a popular one. Everyone knows LinkedIn, I hope. It's a professional networking site. They have so many job listings there. It's a great way to connect with people at your level, ahead of you, below you, build industry friends in your niche. See jobs that haven't been published yet. Get on the radar of recruiters, even when you're passively looking. So having an optimized LinkedIn profile is really, really, really important. If you haven't used, if you haven't prioritized LinkedIn all this time, you should prioritize it, like do it. And then this is a remote jobs website where you can see a ton of remote jobs. In case you're looking, you want to work with an international company, it's a great place to start. You can see a lot of listings. You can even see listings for the next step in your career. So you can see, oh, this is what I want to do next. I can see how these are the skills they want, and you can start to actively nurture those skills so that when it's time for you to apply, when it's time for you to move, it's a lot easier than just throwing spaghetti against the wall and hoping that it sticks. So I hope this was helpful. That is all I have in terms of my presentation. I know I ran through that really fast, but I wanted to make sure that I have enough time for questions. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. And if you have questions, I'm hoping you have questions, but if you have questions, it's time for us to chat. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Faith. So guys, if you have any question, can you please drop the questions? And if you enjoyed or gained one or more, which I did, kindly drop emojis for Faith. Yes. So are we saying it's only 2 people that are active on this call? Okay, so let's have your questions, please. Let's have your questions. Okay, and also Faith, we have CVs for, say, if you want to give us a practical example. Yes, okay.
Sure. Can you share them?
So, okay. So, YK, can we use your CV because you joined very early, so would like to say use your CV for a practice. YK, can you hear me? Okay, so if YK is not available, someone else joined early enough to okay, he's not here. So Gambo.
Sorry, Elise.
Yes,
Sorry.
please.
I actually think that anyone that is interested can just drop their CV. I mean, if you're calling names, perhaps they don't want, I mean, we mentioned already that they might get an opportunity for their CV to be reviewed. So it's just for Faith to say, okay, based on your current CV, everything I've been saying since morning, like literally, this is something you can work on, XYZ and all. So if anyone is here and they have their CV here, just let us know. You can share like a link, or you can share, you can just let us know. We can give you permission to share your screen. Then Faith can respond to that.
Okay, can I share the PDF? Is it possible?
Oh, sure, yeah, that's fine. Do you have a link to the PDF, or do you want us to give you permission to share your screen?
Actually, I'm on my phone, so I don't think I can share.
All right, that's
Okay,
fine.
I can share. I share my screen on phone as well. Okay. Can I get the permission to share?
Okay, yeah, sure. Let's do that. Although we already have like 2 CVs right here.
Yeah.
So I think we can just start with I don't know who's speaking. I'm sorry because I can't actually see.
It's Gambo.
Okay,
All
right. So you can just drop yours. If it's possible for you to just add the PDF. So I'll pick the very first one by HP here, and let's see if I can. Okay, it's Adiola. All right, Adiola, hi. Faith, can you see the CVs too? It's in the chat.
Yeah, I can. Maybe you can just open and share your screen and speak to them.
All right,
so everyone can see the CVs.
All right. Let me mute myself. All right, sorry, I'm just having a little challenge. So the thing with MacBook, when you open certain, what do I call it? Let me just use Canva to open it, or text edit. When you open certain documents, it just changes everything if the font isn't available on your system. So
you can try the last one that was just dropped. I think it sends as a link.
okay.
It sends as a Google link. So try if you can open that one.
Wait, I'm trying to open this with Canva. Let's see if it will work. If it will work, then all right. I think it's actually because it was sent as a Word document. Let me just scroll to the next one that is a PDF. Okay. All right, so I have one here that is a PDF by Folashayo. So I will just try to share my screen now. Just let me know when you can see it.
Okay.
I'll just move it here. Another issue might be I have like 2 desktop open here. So I hope it doesn't affect the way it looks. Let me try to do that. Let me just try to move it. All right, perfect. All right, please let me know when you can see my screen.
Sorry, excuse me. I just sent another Word PDF version.
Yeah, I think it's sharing now. But it's blank.
All right, can you
Wants-
see me on my screen?
No, for me it's blank. It's showing, I think, coming up.
Oh, okay. So I had to, my laptop was connected to my desktop. You know that multiple screen drama. So I think that was what happened. Let me stop sharing and start sharing again. Can you see?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, so I can start with this one, but you have to help me scroll down. Sorry, Ma, but you're going to help me scroll when I tell you to.
No problem.
Okay. So let's start with your name is bold name, say software testing engineer. I mean, I would take out the software testing engineer part of it because I mean everyone expects that you're applying to, if you're sending your CV for a particular role, that you have experiences relevant to that role. So there's no need to reiterate that you're a software testing engineer. They know because your CV is for that role. I would also take out location. I shouldn't stay there. I would take out all of the location stuff because except a job insists or a job is location dependent, or there's no need to put it really, right? And sometimes it introduces biases, especially let's say you're applying to a remote role and they say it's a global remote role, right? You know, Nigeria we don't have the best reputation, right? We're trying to get a reputation to the point where people actually trust us on default. So when you start to highlight in your CV that you're in Nigeria, a recruiter with biases can just start to look at every other thing you put there from a lens of a very racial or a very biased point of view. So you want to make sure that you're eliminating those biases as much as possible. So I wouldn't put, and if you're applying to a job in Nigeria, then there's no need to put Nigeria there because they probably figured out that you live in the country. That's why you're applying for it. So I would take out anything location, except it is stated in the job that you need to indicate your location. You need to indicate where you are. If not, I'll take that out. Your career summary, I don't know. I'm not really a fan of these summaries because, I mean, I feel like you are still growing in your career, and most times it's a lot of fluff, right? They're telling us strong attention to detail. I mean, yeah, but how is it relevant to what you're applying to? Strong understanding of software testing methodologies. That I assume that's fundamental. They expect you to know that. So there's a lot of description here, and it's not telling the recruiter anything. It's not telling them anything new. It's not going to make them to make a decision to highlight this CV for the next stage. So if you're putting a summary, it has to be something that is catchy and interesting. If it's not going to be catchy or interesting, if it's going to be filled with a lot of descriptions and more descriptions and fluff, it's better to just leave it out because it's not telling me anything new. It's just occupying the space that could have been used for something more punchy and something more captivating. Something else I would include here is a LinkedIn profile. If you don't have one, you should create one because that is like your digital resume. It's the way people can really see your thought process, see how you think, how you interact with the industry and all. So you want to put that in here. Take out the location, put a LinkedIn profile. Career summary, if it's not going to be punchy, take it out. I can see a typo in here for method, so you need to be careful of typos. You can throw off someone, especially if they're really picky about words and stuff. So you want to make sure that you don't have typos in your CV. Use Grammarly, use Pro Writing Aid, use ChatGPT if you have to. Make sure there are no typos in your CV. Tools, yeah, it's great that you have tools listed. Miss Madam Abiola, can you scroll down, please? Okay. Abiola, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. That's the last page. Can you see it?
Okay. I can. Does it end? It ends in tools. Is that where it ends?
Oh no, is my screen not moving?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay. Just give me a minute. Let me know if you can see it now.
Yes, I can. Thank you. So professional experience software quality assurance engineer. You want to talk about where this experience came from, because now I don't know if you made it up. You want to put some credibility by putting a name of a company, no matter how small or irrelevant you think it is. Put a name of a company. If you don't have, if you worked on the project by yourself, then you want to put maybe freelance in quotes or something. But right now you say side hustle. I don't know. Take out side hustle because it's giving off the impression that this is not something you are prioritizing. So if it's an internship, it's an internship. If it's a freelance or contract position, it's a freelance or contract position. If it's a full-time role, it's a full-time role. But it's not a side hustle. It shouldn't be on your CV. Even if it's a side hustle in your head, please don't put side hustle on your CV. It just rubs off like it's not something you're prioritizing. So include the name of the company. If it's a freelance position, put freelance in brackets. I like that you have the duration of this and add more numbers into your achievements, writing test case documents and all. Yeah, great. Oh, side hustle is an organization. Okay, great. Thank you. Then call it out, like make sure it's kind of do like some bit of formatting there so that we can know that this is the name of the organization. So the way you put it there, it's side hustle, full stop, internship, a bit confusing for me. So make sure you call out that it's an organization. Try to include a description of what the organization does so that it's a lot easier for people to like get the gist, you understand? Because I've never heard of side hustle before, and I just assumed that side hustle, like what's the conventional meaning? So you want to put a description there and call out that it's the name of the organization so that it's easier for people who haven't heard about them, like me, to know that this is an organization, this is what they do, and I can then start to create some context around that experience. Then you also want to make sure that you're including numbers here, like writing test case documents. Those are nice stuff, but what is the context? What were these test case documents useful? Like, what was the impact of writing it? How did it help the organization? You want to think in numbers. You want to think, did it save time? Did it help to push a project faster? Did it help to lead, like, think about what was the impact of this particular thing that I did? How did it help? How did it help? No matter how small or irrelevant, always try to create context around it. Okay, yeah, I think that is languages, English, Yoruba, relevant, but in this case, I don't think it's useful, right? It's like you wrote the CV in English, so they definitely expect that you can speak and you're proficient in the language. So what you might want to do, you should only call out language if it's something that they highlighted. Like if they say the person must have a proficiency in Yoruba language, then you can include it there. But if they didn't say it, there's no need to call it out. Accomplishments, I would kind of try to move this. Okay, 1 minute. So you want to make sure you're creating context. For instance, the customer service part of it, I really don't see how it relates to the software quality assurance engineering role you're applying for, right? So you want to make sure you only put, like I mentioned earlier, make sure it is relevant to what you're applying to. So right now, they need a software quality assurance engineer. They don't need a customer service personnel, and it's not something that they have called out in the application. So you want to take that out and instead focus all your attention to like beefing up the actual experience that is relevant to what you're applying to. So yeah, I think we can move on to the next one. I hope that was useful.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, just give me a minute. I'm trying to get the other persons. Okay, can you see it?
No, it's not sharing yet. Yeah, I can see the other person. So thank you. Desire, professional goals. Okay, great. Okay, first the picture. I don't know, like personal preference. I know there's so many conventions and there's so many. There isn't a one size fits all for CVs, but personally, I don't really like the picture thing because again, I try to reduce or limit anything that can create any form of bias or create any form of bias at all. So having a picture there, religion, state, or all of this stuff, I try to make sure they are not there. So I mean, personal preference would be that you remove the picture. I mean, they're interested in your experience. When you get to the interview, they can see your face. So taking that off. Having professional goals there. Again, I do like that you have all these keywords here and just really interesting, like shows that you have like a great grounding in the industry. But what I do not really a fan of is the seeking to join an empowered, driven, poised for global impact. And I feel like there's a lot of fluff. So you might want to just trim that out. And maybe instead of having, because most of the things you have here are not goals, they're more of keywords than goals. So probably use a different heading for this and then take out the global impact part of it because it's just very descriptive. I do like that you have your information, your LinkedIn, your email, your mobile number. Probably change the other a bit by having your email and your website a bit further up, and then you can have the numbers down if you want to keep them. You can take out the address again because biases, like I mentioned. Core skills. This is interesting having them here. I mean, if I was going to format this a bit, I'll move the skills to the work experience side of things and just leave this other side for your regular information because it's kind of easy to miss, especially as you have a lot of words on this page. So let's take a look at your experience. Again, I would, I'm guessing BKO is the organization, right? I would call out the name of the organization and make it more obvious that it is an organization, because right now it's really easy to miss. So try to call out the organization, try to put like a tiny description of what they do, just to create context and make it easier for the recruiter to understand what you're trying to put out there. And then try to break up the text. Right now, there's a lot of words in my face, and it's easy to miss something important. So I would say, instead of having all of these things listed out, think of the top 3 things related to that particular experience that you're trying to put out, and then highlight them and just take out the rest, because right now there's a lot. So many things are here. Something important can be missed because it's a lot to just have all of these words on this page. There's so many words. So instead of having everything listed, try to highlight your top 3, your top 4 that are relevant to the role you're applying to, and just keep the rest in your generic CV. You can always go revisit them later for some other role. Can we scroll down? Is that all? Okay, yeah, thank you. And same thing here, Chief Operations Officer. So many things, really interesting experiences, but same information. Please reduce the amount of information. There is a lot. Have like your top 3 achievements, include numbers, include action verbs. I can see quite a number of them, but it's kind of easy to miss. Like I can say, led digital transformation, 75% NPS rating. That's interesting information. It should be up there. It's down in the middle. It's easy to miss. So just take a second look and try to highlight that the most top 3, make it easy to scan, easy to read, the most interesting experiences up there. And references, languages spoken. Again, you can keep it, you can take it out if I don't know, depending on your preference. But again, if language isn't something they've highlighted, I would just out of preference say take it out. There's no need having it here. So yeah, to recap, you need to work on the formatting a bit. The CV is how you have a lot of interesting experiences, but you're having too much information. It's like information overload in my face. So you just want to highlight the most interesting things that a recruiter will want to see for that particular role. Top 3, make it compact, relevant, interesting, so that something important doesn't get missed because there's so many words. I think that should be all right. Maybe we can take one more.
Okay, so let me just look through and just yep, that's the chat. I can see some of my Oga's CV here. Okay, let me just pick Gamble's CV because we missed it the last time. So let me just do that. Faith, can I just please crave your indulgence one last time? So after this Gamble, I just want one of my bosses here that their CV is here. We should just go through their own also, just one. Thank you very much. Let me share Gamble's CV, then we can move from there. Share screen, Gamble. Yeah. Okay. Can you see?
Yeah, yes, I can see it.
Just give me a minute. I think it's not. Okay, I think it's good.
Okay, yeah. So kicking up, I like that your name is really bold. You have your email, you have your number. Add your LinkedIn profile if you have one. If you don't have one, create one, add it. It's important. Professional summary, like I said, okay, I like that you have interesting keywords here, practical experience, you're naming industries. It's interesting. I think it can be more compact. Like I said, if you want to have a professional summary, make sure it's interesting enough. Like if it's not interesting, it's going to be, it's not necessary. So make it more compact. You want to focus more on these practical experiences and just spice it up. Okay, skills. I like that you have your skills here, like this is very good to call out, like just this is really great information, basic knowledge of SQL, proficient in manual testing techniques. Like it is great you have all of this because, I mean, whoever is looking at this can see that this person has like good fundamental knowledge of how it works. Training and certification. Okay. Can we scroll down a bit? That's okay. We have a look at this. Okay, so you want to, again, this is a lot of words, so many words. So you want to make this more of an achievement point of view. Like even if you haven't launched any project or something, you want to make sure that you're calling out, like you want to basically show more of impact and all of that. So many words there, maybe highlight like the top three important things to the role you're applying to and move to the next thing ASAP. So there's no need having 7 or 8 because there's so many words here. So like the top 3 that are important to the role you're applying to and just move on to the next thing. Okay, education. Yeah, okay. So I do think that this is a great start. Like definitely one of the more interesting ones I've seen today. So I like that you have your skills. Something you want to add, like I think we saw in the other person's CV is tools. So you want to also call out tools that are relevant to your profession, just so that you can show that you have proficiency, you actually know what these industry tools are and you've used them. And then you also want to make sure you're calling out. It's a lot easier to see that GoMailer is like an organization. So you want to add like a little description there to just let people know this is what GoMailer does. And then you want to highlight like the top 3 experiences that you have. There's nothing wrong with your CV being 1 page. It's really about how relevant it is to what you're applying to versus having so many words. So include a tools section where you call out the software that you're using, trim the bullet points and make them more action focused versus descriptions. And yeah, and add a LinkedIn profile. So yeah, that should do.
Okay, thank you so much, Faith, for that. Let me just try to turn between Chuks and Olawale. But because Olawale's CV is already in PDF, I think I'll just do this. Okay.
Okay, I can see this. Okay. Yeah, the introduction or the heading is perfect. You can see a LinkedIn profile there. You can see an email, you can see a phone number. That is great. Like there's no need to have your location or any of those things. It's just straight to the point. And then objective. Yes, this is also great because you can see those keywords in there. I am not a software tester, but I mean, this really just shows that this person actually has like a good understanding, that they have good experience and what is actually working. Maybe what I would switch a bit is the actively seeking opportunities part, because I feel like that's a given already. Like you're sending your CV, so that means you're seeking opportunities. So I wouldn't reiterate it. I would just like kind of trim that out and make it a bit more compact, like focus more on the professional side than the actively seeking opportunities side. Yeah, I do like that you call out the organization, like quality assurance engineer at Vertex. Like it's clear that this is where this person works. Maybe the only thing I would include is a bit of a description of what Vertex is, just to create like more context about it. I would take out my responsibilities included part, because I do expect that you're listing your responsibilities. So I wouldn't keep that. I think it's something you can take out. There's a lot of description of, okay, this is what this person did, this is what this person did and all. maybe I would include more information about achievements and say, okay, I did this and it led to this. I did end-to-end test and application, and this is one impact that it had on the organization, just to take more focus on impact, because in my experience, organizations are really, they know you can do this stuff, but they want to know how did it add to that? Like, what was the result you drove for this organization? And then that helps them say, like, we want the same thing for ours. So listing what you did is great, but you want to include some context as to the results that it helped to drive. Yeah, I think that applies to everything here. And skills and qualifications, maybe, I mean, preference would be to move this up a bit, because it just helps to like really solidify that industry knowledge and professional experience. So I kind of move the skills and qualifications part a bit up. Maybe you need to format it a bit so that you focus more on the applications or the software you're using or the techniques you're using versus the good knowledge of or excellent knowledge about. Those are very descriptive. So you can have like a small skills and a qualification section just before the work experience, where you just list these things and list like the top 5 that are important to the role you're applying to, versus just having all of them there. And online courses, education and training, yeah, that makes sense. Online courses and stuff. Yeah. Are we scrolling down? Is that all?
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, so I mean, I think this is like a very good example of like where to start from, because we have like the information is just 2 pages. It has a lot of context, and you can just see that this person is experienced. I mean, just adding some information about results and maybe moving some sections up a bit, and it will be, I mean, work, and obviously you need to tweak it as you apply for different roles, but it's like a good generic point to start from that you can always start to then make adjustments and tweak based on what you're applying to and all. But I think this is a great example of a good way to streamline your information and just make it interesting to whoever is reading it, so that they want to, I mean, explore having a conversation with you.
Okay, thank you, Faith. Abiola, do you still have something to say?
No, I was actually just going to say thank you to Faith. And I like the fact that, I mean, she started from, I mean, we picked like some beginner CVs and we went to, I mean, someone that has been in the space for a while. So it kind of just create a balance for everyone here, rather.
Okay, thank you, Abiola. Faith, we have like 3 questions from in the chat. Can I read them out?
Yeah.
Okay, so this first person, Olawale, says, if you have about 7 to 8 years in content marketing and you transitioned to QA after going through series of training, how do you set up a CV for a QA role?
Okay, I think that's an interesting question. I like the fact that you mentioned series of training. That means you have experience. It's not that you're not starting from scratch. So what you want to do is to represent those training experiences on your CV. You want to call out what you achieved in that training. I'm assuming that you did a training, you're going to have like a project you worked on. So you want to call out what are those, like, we did this training, I worked on this project, this is the result, like this was what we're able to achieve by doing this. So it's really the same process. I mean, you don't have actual job experience, but you can turn whatever experience you have, your training experience, and present that as a role. So you want to call out that, okay, software test training, ABC organization, achievements. I was able to do A, I was able to do B, I was able to do C. And then you're going to have your CV leaning more into highlighting the courses and the skills and the tools that you have experience with versus actual achievements in the job. Do you understand? So you're going to focus more on highlighting, these are the skills I've acquired, these are the tools I can use. And then you have a small section where you talk about, this is the training I underwent, and these are the things I was able to do within the training. I was able to do this, run this type of scripts. I was able to use this particular tool to achieve this. You also want to lean more on soft skills. For example, how did you collaborate with your team? Maybe you collaborated with your team and you're able to wrap up the project in 5 weeks instead of 6. That is something to call out, to say you have good time management skills and it's relevant. So you want to think more about those soft skills that you acquired during your training, and you want to highlight them in the CV. Don't include numbers that don't exist. You don't have to include numbers that don't exist, but you want to focus more on the skills you acquired, the tools you've used, in lessons or the training or the skills you acquired in the training, and contextualize it. Like, what was the context of the training? How long did it last? What did you cover in the curriculum? What was your final project like? What did you achieve with it? And then you can try to include any references or any positive comments you had from your trainer. Like, okay, at the end of the training, these are the first 3 things the most important things I achieved. And maybe in a lower section of your CV, you can include feedback from my trainer or something like that, just to add more context. Because right now you're just trying to show that I understand this, that I did an opportunity to make you work, versus, oh, I have industry knowledge and I'm really the guru and I know how this works and all of that. So you want to lean more on just showing the vast experience that you've acquired and the skills and the tools and all of that stuff. Does that make sense?
Okay, thank you, Faith. I'm going to read out the next question. Is that fine?
Yeah.
Olawale, I hope Faith answered your question. Okay, I'll just go to the next question. So the next question is, how do someone just starting out in a career without experience yet go about it? Do you leave the experience blank?
No, you don't need the experience blank. Nobody wants to see a CV that you don't have any experience at all. And I don't believe it's possible to not have any experience at all. You have training, you have courses, you have to look for an opportunity to apply the skills you have acquired to a project, even if it's not a job, even if it's a personal project, even if it's look for an opportunity to apply that skill, because people want to see that not only do you have the knowledge, you can do stuff. It doesn't have to be on a high level. It doesn't have to be perfect, but they want to see that you've applied that knowledge. For example, in content marketing, for instance, one of the things people look out for when you say, oh, I don't have any portfolio, like if you're applying for any writing gig and you don't have a portfolio, nobody takes you serious. They'll tell you, even if nobody has paid you to write something and put it in your portfolio. So you want to take that same mindset to your testing, your job as a software tester. Even if nobody has paid you to test anything, do a prototype, do a project, look to collaborate with people who are learning. There are communities like this that I'm sure you have, like community challenges, test challenge, all of that stuff. All of those challenges can be things you list in your CV, right? So it's not possible that you don't have any experience at all. You may not have work experience. You may not have an opportunity that somebody has, like maybe nobody has paid you to say, be our software tester, but you have been able to put that knowledge into practice one way or the other. And that is what you want to highlight in your CV, right? So don't approach it like, I don't have any experience. What am I going to do? Find something to do and put it in your CV. Use the tools, work on a prototype project, collaborate with communities, do community challenges, do a personal project, do something and put it in your CV as your experience. You can put it under freelance. You can put it under, you can even use the name of the community, the Bug Detective Community Challenge. You can put it there under your experience. What people want to see is that you actually know how to apply the knowledge versus the name of the company or the position or whatever. They want to see that she knows this thing or he knows this thing and they can do the job. Like they have done this before on a tiny scale, but yes, they can do it. It's a lot. Nobody's going to employ you if you just tell them that, oh, I read all of this stuff, but I've never done it before. it's risky for them. I mean, companies want people that can come in and hit the ground rolling. Even if they're training you, you're starting from somewhere, you show them that you'll be able to do something. So please don't leave your experience section blank. Do projects, community, personal, whatever. Do something and represent it there as your experience. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Faith. Adeke Damilola, sorry. Hope your question has been answered. Okay, so there's a question from Queen. She said that as a new software tester with no experience, how do I create a befitting CV for a job? I think you already spoke to that.
I think this is kind of related to what I said.
Yes, yes.
Experience. I mean, please don't ever approach jobs saying like, I don't have any experience at all. And it's hard. Like, you have to think about it from the person who's about to bring out their money. I mean, you want them to pay you, right? Because even if it's a paltry sum, you do want them to get some incentive. So it's a mutually beneficial transaction. So you have to prove to them that you have this knowledge, you've applied it somewhere, and now you're looking for a bigger platform to do it. So do personal projects. If you don't have any experience at all, then what you should be looking at doing is those projects versus a job, like a full-blown job search. So do those projects. It gives you a better chance when you're searching. People are more likely to pay attention to a CV that shows some level of practicability versus one that is just theoretical. Like, oh, they trained me and I know how to do it, but I've never done it before. So don't approach it like that. Approach it as, I know how to do stuff. I've done it at a smaller scale and I'm looking to apply this to the bigger environment.
All
Okay,
right.
thank you so much, Faith. Thank you, everyone. Okay, we took the last question already. And thank you so much for your time, Faith. It's already past 1, and this session was really enlightening for me. And I guess it's the same for everyone that joined the session. Can we have emojis for Faith? Because it's not easy talking for over an hour. And it's not just normal talks. Like, I really got a lot from it. Thank